A woman brought her beagle into my clinic last spring, and she opened with something I hear almost every single week. She said her dog had been eating grass every single morning for the past 2 years, sometimes throwing it back up a few minutes later, and she just assumed that's what dogs do, that it was totally normal, nothing to think about. And for most of those 2 years, she was right not to worry. But that particular week, the grass eating had gotten more frantic, almost desperate, paired with a couple of days of her dog barely touching his food, and that combination was the thing that finally got her into my exam room. It turned out to be early-stage gastritis, something that would have been simple to manage months earlier, but had been quietly building because one symptom, on its own, looked completely harmless. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Nick Lane, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever watched your dog march out into the yard and start chowing down on grass like it's a salad bar, you've probably wondered what's going on, and you've probably also been told a dozen different explanations, most of them wrong. Today I'm going to walk you through the real reasons dogs eat grass, the one reason that almost never gets mentioned even though it's incredibly common, exactly how to tell the difference between harmless grass eating and grass eating that means something's wrong and what you should actually be watching for at home. Grab a notebook, because by the end of this you're going to know more about this than most people who've owned dogs their entire lives. Let's start with the explanation everyone already knows. The old theory is that dogs eat grass to make themselves throw up because they have an upset stomach. And that theory isn't wrong exactly, it's just incomplete. And honestly, it's probably true less often than people assume. Studies actually looking at this found that only a small percentage of dogs seem sick before they eat grass, and only about a quarter of grass-eating episodes are followed by vomiting at all. So most of the time, your dog isn't eating grass because they feel bad and want to fix it. They're eating grass and then just going about their day like nothing happened. So if it's not mostly about upset stomachs, what is it? Here's the more accurate list of reasons, and I want to go through these one at a time because knowing which one applies to your dog changes whether you should worry. The first and most common reason is simply instinct and normal foraging behavior. Dogs are descended from wild canines who supplemented their diet with all kinds of plant matter, and eating vegetation, including grass, is baked into that inherited behavior. It doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong. It's closer to a dog sniffing every tree on a walk. It's just something dogs do because they're dogs. The second reason is boredom or anxiety. This one surprises people. Dogs who don't get enough mental stimulation or physical activity will sometimes develop repetitive behaviors, and grass eating can become one of them, almost like a nervous habit. If your dog's grass eating ramps up during a stressful period, a move, a new pet in the house, a change in routine, that's a signal worth paying attention to, not because grass is dangerous, but because it's telling you something about their emotional state. The third reason is a genuine nutritional gap, usually fiber. Grass is mostly indigestible fiber, and some dogs on lower fiber diets will self-select grass to help move things through their digestive system. If your dog is eating grass frequently and also has a regular stool, this is worth mentioning to your vet, because sometimes a simple diet adjustment solves it completely. And the fourth reason, the one I said almost nobody talks about, is nausea related to an actual underlying issue, not just a random upset stomach, but something more specific like acid reflux, mild gastritis, pancreatitis, or even early kidney changes. In these cases, grass eating isn't the harmless, quirky behavior everyone assumes it is. It's the dog's version of reaching for an antacid, except instead of relief, they sometimes get more irritation from the grass itself, which is part of why vomiting happens in some, but not all of these episodes. Here's the part I really want you to understand, because it's the whole point of this video. The behavior looks identical, whether it's reason 1, harmless instinct, or reason 4, an actual medical issue. From the outside, a dog eating grass is a dog eating grass. The difference isn't in the grass eating itself, it's in the pattern around it, and that's exactly what most owners never learn to watch for. So let's talk about the pattern, because this is the checklist I want you actually using at home. First, frequency and intensity. Occasional grass eating on a walk, casual, unhurried, is normal dog behavior and nothing to worry about. Frantic or desperate grass eating, where your dog seems almost driven to find grass immediately, especially paired with lip licking or excessive swallowing beforehand, points more toward the nausea category. Second, timing relative to meals. If your dog eats grass on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning before breakfast, or several hours after their last meal, that pattern is more associated with the acid reflux and nausea category than the casual instinct category. Dogs with reflux often feel worse when their stomach is empty, the same way some humans feel nauseous first thing in the morning. Third, what happens afterward. Grass eating followed by one normal vomit, and then a completely normal dog who goes right back to playing is generally low concern. Grass eating followed by continued lethargy, a reluctance to eat their regular food, or repeated vomiting throughout the day is a different situation entirely, and that's when this stops being something to casually observe and becomes something to call your vet about. Fourth, and this is the one that catches people off guard, changes in an established pattern. If your dog has always occasionally nibbled grass and suddenly starts doing it daily, or multiple times a day, that shift itself is meaningful information, even if each individual episode looks mild. Your dog's normal baseline is unique to them, and a change from that baseline is often more useful information than the behavior itself. Now here's the home check I promised you, and it takes about a week to really see the pattern, so I want you starting a simple log tonight. Every time you notice your dog eating grass, write down 3 things. The time of day, relative to their last meal, whether it happened once or repeatedly in a short window, and whether it was followed by vomiting, and if so, whether your dog seemed fine immediately after or seemed off for the rest of the day. After about a week of this, you'll have exactly the information your vet needs if you do decide a visit is worth it, and honestly, most owners who do this exercise realize their dog's grass eating is genuinely harmless and stop worrying about it entirely, which is its own kind of useful outcome. I want to be very clear about something before we wrap up. The majority of dogs who eat grass are completely fine. This is one of the most normal, most common behaviors in dogs, and most vets, myself included, see it as a non-issue the overwhelming majority of the time. This video isn't meant to make you panic every time your dog nibbles a blade of grass on your evening walk. It's meant to give you the actual pattern to watch for, instead of either ignoring it completely or panicking over something harmless. A log for a week, an eye on frequency and timing, and you'll know which category your dog falls into. One more thing worth mentioning, if your dog is eating something other than grass outside, mulch, rocks, dirt, that's a different behavior called pica, and it carries its own separate concerns around nutritional deficiencies and gastrointestinal blockages, so don't lump that in with normal grass eating. That's a topic for its own video, and honestly, if your dog is doing that, it's worth a call to your vet sooner rather than later. Let's bring this together into one simple takeaway. Occasional, calm grass eating, especially out on walks, is normal dog behavior rooted in instinct, and it's not something to worry about. Frequent, frantic, or empty stomach grass eating, especially paired with repeated vomiting or a change from your dog's normal pattern, deserves a conversation with your vet, because it may be pointing towards something like reflux or mild gastritis that's much easier to manage early than late. Track it for a week before you decide which category you're dealing with, because the pattern tells you far more than any single episode ever will. If this video helped you actually understand what's going on with your dog instead of just guessing, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this kind of information reach more pet parents who are wondering the exact same thing. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next deep dive into your dog's health. And leave me a comment down below right now. I want to know, does your dog eat grass? And have you noticed any pattern to when it happens? Because I read every single comment, and I love hearing from this community. Give your dog a gentle scratch behind the ears for Dr. Nick tonight. Stay safe. Always trust your instincts.